welcome. Thank you for choosing to settle in and share this time with me. Find a comfortable space, perhaps dim the lights, and allow your awareness to settle into the gentle cadence of the present moment. My name is Silas, and I travel slowly, finding solace in observation and the quiet hum of my home on rails, the wanderer. It carries me not just across landscapes, but through experiences, inviting me to notice the small wonders, the subtle shifts in light and sound, the quiet poetry woven into the everyday. Aboard this train, I have felt the gentle warmth radiating from the tiled facades of Lisbon, breathed in the unique blend of spices and stillness found deep within the Medina of Marrakesh, and observed the quiet artistry tucked away in the laneways of Melbourne. Each place offers its own quiet whisper, its own color palette, leaving a soft imprint on memory. Now, the steady rhythm of the wheels carries me through a different landscape, vibrant and green, towards the heart of northern Vietnam, towards a city cradled by lakes, Hanoi. The air already feels thick with humidity and history, carrying the scent of unfamiliar blossoms and damp earth. In the chapters ahead, we will explore this ancient capital together at a mindful pace. We will walk beside the tranquil waters of Kiem Lake in the pearly light of dawn, watching the slow, graceful movements of Tai Chi practitioners welcoming the day. We will wander through the narrow, winding lanes of the old quarter, feeling the textures of silk and bamboo, listening to the soft calls of vendors, perhaps discovering a hidden temple courtyard bathed in incense smoke. We may even pause in a small cafe, savoring the unique sweet warmth of Vietnamese egg coffee, a quiet moment of sensory delight amidst the city's gentle pulse. This journey is an invitation to slow down, to breathe deeply, and to find a measure of peace by simply noticing. Let the gentle sounds and unfolding scenes soothe you as we arrive and immerse ourselves in the serene atmosphere of Hanoi. If you find comfort and tranquility in sharing these quiet explorations, perhaps consider liking this recording or subscribing to the channel to join me as the journey continues onward from here. For now, let us begin our approach to the lake's edge. Chapter 1. Verdant Passage to the North. The rhythmic pulse of the wanderer shifts subtly, a familiar beat against the changing landscape outside my window. The journey north through Vietnam unfolds like a scroll painted in infinite shades of green. Vast stretches of rice paddies, luminous under the soft, hazy sky, spread out towards the horizon. Here and there, the iconic shape of a conical hat, a nunla, bobs gently as someone tends to the young shoots, their movements slow and methodical, mirroring the unhurried pace of the train itself. The air inside my carriage, usually carrying the faint, comforting scent of old wood and worn leather, now mingles with the damp, earthy aroma drifting in from the fields. I cradle a small porcelain cup, its surface warm against my palms. The delicate fragrance of lotus tea rises, a subtle perfume that feels intrinsically linked to this land. Watching the world slide by, I see water buffalo grazing near the tracks, their immense forms still and patient, occasionally lifting their heads as we pass, seemingly unfazed by our metallic presence. Small clusters of houses, simple structures of wood and tile, appear nestled amongst bamboo groves, hinting at lives lived in close connection with the cycles of planting and harvest. It's a timeless scene, one that feels deeply rooted and profoundly peaceful. The light filters softly through the large window, casting shifting patterns across my small writing desk. My notebook lies open, but for now, I simply observe, letting the images imprint themselves. There's a different quality to the green here compared to other landscapes I've known, more vibrant, more intense, almost alive with unseen energy. It speaks of water, of abundance, of a persistent, gentle growth that seems to define this region. The steady clickety-clack of the wheels on the track becomes a grounding mantra, measuring the distance covered, drawing me closer to Hanoi. I think about the city ahead, a place steeped in history, known for its lakes and its ancient quarter. Unlike the vast open plains I traversed further south, the landscape here feels more intricate, more layered. Small rivers snake through the fields, reflecting the sky. The density of vegetation increases, suggesting a land well nourished by monsoons and time. There's a feeling of anticipation, quiet and calm, not of excitement, but of gentle curiosity about the textures and rhythms awaiting me in the capital. Inside, the wanderer, my familiar space offers its quiet comfort. The polished wood panels gleam softly. The worn armchair invites repose. It's a moving sanctuary, a constant amidst the ever-changing scenery. Yet, even within these walls, the essence of Vietnam permeates in the scent of the tea, the quality of the humid air, the specific sounds that filter in when the engine noise momentarily softens. It's a reminder that the journey is not just about reaching a destination, but about absorbing the transitions along the way. As the afternoon wears on, the greens deepen, taking on richer hues as the sun begins its slow descent, though it remains hidden behind a soft veil of clouds. The train slows occasionally, passing through small towns where glimpses of daily life flicker past motorbikes laden with goods, colorful banners strung across a street, children waving. Each brief scene adds another layer to the unfolding tapestry of northern Vietnam. There's a quiet dignity in the landscape, a sense of resilience. I pour another cup of lotus tea, the warmth spreading through me. The approach to a major city often brings a gradual increase in tempo, a shift in energy. But here, the transition feels subtle, almost imperceptible. The verdant calm seems reluctant to fully yield, holding its sway even as the signs of denser settlement become more frequent. It's as if the peaceful spirit of the countryside intends to follow me all the way into Hanoi. Leaning my head back against the soft cushion, I close my eyes for a moment, focusing only on the rhythmic sound of the train. It's a sound that has cradled me through countless miles across continents. Now, it carries me towards the ancient heart of Vietnam, towards lakes mirroring centuries' history, towards the quiet discoveries that await. The gentle rocking motion is a lullaby, easing me into a state of peaceful readiness for arrival. Chapter 2. First Steps by Kiem. The train glides into Hanoi with a final gentle sigh. The immense structure of Hanoi railway station surrounds us, a blend of grand colonial arches and distinctly Vietnamese design elements. The air outside the carriage door feels different, immediately thick, humid, and alive with a symphony of sounds. The murmur of voices in a tonal language that flows like music, the distant rumble of traffic, the calls of vendors. Yet beneath the surface energy, I sense an underlying steadiness, a rhythm that feels ancient and enduring. Stepping onto the platform, I take a moment, allowing my senses to adjust. The scale of the station is impressive, with high ceilings and sturdy ironwork, softened by the tropical light filtering through large windows. People move with purpose, but without the frantic rush I felt in other major terminals. There's an efficiency, yes, but it feels somehow more fluid, less sharp-edged. I retrieve my worn leather satchel, its familiar weight grounding me in this new environment. My home, the wanderer, rests patiently on the tracks, a silent promise of future journeys. Instead of seeking a taxi amidst the bustle, I feel drawn toward the cyclos waiting patiently near the station entrance. These three-wheeled bicycle taxis, with their passenger seats positioned comfortably at the front, seem to offer a more intimate introduction to the city. I approach a driver whose face wears a kind, weathered map of smiles. Using a few carefully practiced Vietnamese phrases and gestures, I indicate my desire to go towards Kiem Lake, emphasizing a slow-paced jam charm. He nods, understanding settling in his eyes, and helps me settle my bag before climbing onto his seat behind me. The journey begins. The slow, rhythmic turning of the pedals sets a wonderfully contemplative pace. From my open-air seat, Hanoi unfolds gently. French colonial buildings with their shuttered windows and elegant balconies stand alongside the unique, narrow tube houses, characteristic of the city, reaching skyward. The streets are a vibrant river of motorbikes flowing with surprising grace around bicycles, pedestrians, and the occasional car. Horns beep, not with aggression, but seemingly as a form of sonar, a way of acknowledging presence in the shared space. We turn onto quieter, tree-lined streets as we approach the Lake District. The air feels slightly cooler here, shaded by large leafy canopies. The scent of faux broth, fragrant herbs, and grilling meat drifts from unseen kitchens and street stalls, mingling with the perfume of tropical flowers I cannot yet name. I see glimpses of daily life women arranging baskets of fruit, men sipping coffee at small sidewalk tables, children playing games under the watchful eyes of elders. It's a rich tapestry, viewed at a pace that allows details to emerge. The cyclo driver occasionally points out a landmark, offering a simple name in Vietnamese, his voice gentle. I catch the word Ho Guom Sword Lake as a serene expanse of water comes into view, fringed by trees and reflecting the soft sky. This must be it, Hoan Kiem Lake, the heart around which so much of Hanoi life seems to revolve. Its presence feels instantly calming, an anchor of tranquility amidst the city's gentle hum. He navigates the streets surrounding it, finding a quiet lane tucked away just a block or two from the shore. We arrive at a small guest house, its entrance partially hidden by flowering vines. It looks welcoming, unassuming. I thank the driver, paying him with a feeling of gratitude for the unhurried introduction he provided. He smiles warmly, wishes me well, and pedals away, disappearing back into the gentle flow of the street. Checking in is simple, aided by smiles and gestures. My room is on the second floor, overlooking the lane. It feels like a good place to settle, a quiet base from which to explore. Standing at the window of my room, I watch the life below for a few moments. A woman pushes a bicycle laden with fresh flowers, calling out softly. Two neighbors chat quietly on their doorstep. The sounds are muted, weaving into the background hum. The initial sensory wave of arrival begins to subside, replaced by a feeling of quiet anticipation. The lake is close, waiting, and the promise of slow discovery feels like a welcome embrace. Chapter 3. A room with gentle views. The room is simple yet holds a quiet charm. Cool ceramic tiles lie underfoot, a welcome sensation after the warmth outside. The walls are painted a soft, pale yellow, reflecting the diffuse light that filters through tall wooden shutters. A sturdy wooden bed sits against one wall, covered with a crisp white cotton duvet. Opposite it, a small dark wood desk waits, its surface smooth and slightly worn, perfect for my notebook and camera. It feels uncluttered, peaceful, a space designed for rest and quiet contemplation. I place my leather satchel on the bed and begin to unpack, slowly, deliberately. The familiar ritual helps ground me in this new temporary home. My notebook finds its place on the desk next to my camera. A few well-loved paperbacks join them, companions for quiet evenings. Folding my clothes, I notice the subtle scent clinging to them from the wanderer wood, leather, a hint of engine oil now mingling with the faint, unfamiliar fragrance of the room. Perhaps beeswax polish, or the flowers blooming just outside. There's a small balcony, just large enough for one chair, accessed through wooden doors that swing inwards. I push them open and step outside. The view looks down onto the narrow lane below. Directly opposite, ornate ironwork grills cover the windows of an older building. Lush green plants cascade from terracotta pots on neighboring balconies. Below, the gentle rhythm of the lane continues the soft whir of a bicycle passing, the distant melodic call of a street vendor, the murmur of conversation drifting from an open window. Leaning on the railing, I close my eyes and just listen. The soundscape of Hanoi is different from any other city I've known. It's layered, intricate, yet lacks the harshness often found in large metropolises. The ubiquitous motorbike engines hum rather than roar. The voices rise and fall with a musical cadence, and underlying it all is a sense of calm energy. It feels like a city that breathes, that moves to an ancient, steady pulse beneath the surface activity. The air is warm and humid, carrying a blend of scents. Damp earth from the potted plants, something sweet and floral, the faint aroma of cooking drifting from somewhere nearby. It's not overwhelming, but rather a gentle immersion in the local atmosphere. I take a slow, deep breath, feeling the tension from the journey release. This room, this balcony, feels like a small sanctuary, a place to observe the world without being swept away by it, a perfect perch for a quiet soul. Returning inside, I notice the details of the room more closely. The way the shutters create stripes of light and shadow on the floor, the simple elegance of the joinery on the wooden desk, a small framed print on the wall depicting a traditional Vietnamese scene. These small elements contribute to the room's tranquil feeling. It doesn't shout for attention. It whispers welcome. It feels lived in, cared for, but uncluttered by unnecessary distractions. I pour a glass of water from the carafe left on the desk and sit in the chair by the open balcony doors. The sounds from the lane provide a soft, ambient backdrop. There's a feeling of being gently held by the space, a sense of security and peace. It's moments like these, settling into a new haven, feeling the pulse of a place begin to resonate, that form the quiet heart of my travels. The grand sights are yet to come, but this initial feeling of finding stillness is a destination in itself. The late afternoon light softens further, painting the room in warmer tones. The prospect of exploring the nearby lake, perhaps at dawn, feels inviting, not demanding. For now, it's enough to be here, in this quiet room with its gentle views, listening to the heartbeat of Hanoi from a peaceful distance. It's a space to recharge, to reflect, and to simply be before stepping out to greet the city at my own unhurried pace. Chapter 4. Dawn by the Lake. Before the sun fully crests the horizon while the city still holds its breath in the pre-dawn stillness, I find myself walking towards Kiem Lake. The air is cooler now, remarkably fresh, carrying the scent of damp earth and night-blooming flowers. Streetlights cast long, soft pools of golden light on the pavements, but their glow is beginning to yield to the approaching daylight, a subtle shift from amber to pearl. The lake itself lies like a sheet of dark, polished glass, reflecting the awakening sky. There's a quiet energy around the water's edge, even at this early hour. Groups of people, mostly older residents, are already engaged in their morning rituals. Their movements are slow, deliberate, graceful. Some practice Tai Chi, their forms flowing like water, each gesture imbued with a focused serenity. Others engage in gentle stretching exercises or simply stand facing the lake, breathing deeply. There's a shared sense of purpose, a collective, quiet reverence for the start of the day in this special place. I walk slowly along the paved pathway that encircles the lake, my footsteps soft, careful not to disturb the peaceful atmosphere. The famous Red Huck Bridge, its elegant art painted a vibrant vermilion, stands silhouetted against the brightening eastern sky. It leads to the small island housing Ngok Sun Temple. Even from a distance, the temple exudes an aura of tranquility, its traditional rooftops nestled amongst the green foliage of ancient trees. The surface of the lake is almost perfectly still, disturbed only occasionally by the gentle ripple of a fish or the soft landing of a water bird. The reflections are mesmerizing, the deep green of the trees, the emerging colors of the sky, the silhouette of the turtle tower, Taprua, standing sentinel on its own tiny islet near the southern end. Legend holds that a golden turtle surfaced here, reclaiming a magical sword for the Dragon King, lending the lake its name, Lake of the Returned Sword. Standing here, watching the mist hover just above the water, it's easy to feel the pull of such ancient stories. I cross the Huck Bridge, the wooden planks feeling solid beneath my feet. The air feels even quieter on the island, buffered from the low hum of the waking city. Inside the Ngok Sun Temple complex, the scent of incense hangs gently in the air. Intricate carvings adorn the wooden beams and pillars. Early worshipers move with quiet devotion, offering prayers, their faces serene. I find a quiet corner near a large ceramic urn, simply observing the interplay of light, shadow, and devotion. Returning across the bridge, the sun finally breaks through the haze, casting a warm golden light across the water and the surrounding park. The scene transforms. Colors become more vibrant, the reflections sharper. More people have arrived now, joggers moving at a steady pace, couples strolling hand in hand, individuals sitting on benches, lost in thought or gazing at the water. Yet, the atmosphere remains remarkably peaceful, a shared space of calm in the heart of the bustling capital. I find an empty bench beneath a large spreading tree and sit for a while, my notebook resting unopened on my lap. It feels more important to simply absorb this moment, the warmth of the rising sun on my skin, the gentle sounds of the lake and the people around it, the feeling of quiet communion. It's a reminder that serenity isn't always found in solitude, but can exist within a shared, respectful presence. This morning ritual by the lake feels like the city's quiet soul revealing itself. As the city truly begins to wake, the sounds of traffic beyond the park grow slightly louder. The pace quickens subtly. But here, by the water's edge, the tranquility lingers. This dawn walk has been more than just sightseeing. It has been an immersion in the gentle rhythm of Hanoi life, a connection to the serene heart of the city, perfectly embodying the promise of Lake Serenity. It's a feeling I hope to carry with me as I explore further. Chapter 5. Whispers in the Old Quarter. Leaving the open serenity of the lake behind, I venture into the labyrinthine embrace of Hanoi's Old Quarter. The contrast is immediate, yet not jarring. The streets narrow, hemmed in by tall, slender buildings. The famous Tube houses their facades, a fascinating blend of weathered history and vibrant commerce. Instead of wide vistas, the focus shifts to intimate details. The textures and sounds of life live closely together. My pace slows further, becoming a gentle drift through this historic heart. I deliberately choose the smaller lanes, avoiding the main arteries where the flow of motorbikes is thickest. Here, the pace feels more human. Sunlight struggles to reach the ground in some of the narrowest alleys, creating cool corridors where the air hangs still and smells of damp stone, fragrant herbs from a nearby shop, or the metallic tang from a metalworker's stall. Each street traditionally was dedicated to a specific trade, and echoes of this remain Hang Back, Silver Street, Hang Gai, Silk Street, Hang Tree, Bamboo Street. On Hang Back, I paused to watch a silversmith working meticulously at a small wooden bench, tapping intricate patterns onto a delicate piece of jewelry. His movements are precise, economical, honed by years of practice. He seems oblivious to the gentle flow of passers-by, lost in his craft. There's a quiet dignity in his focus, a connection to generations who practice the same trade on this very street. The soft, rhythmic tapping is a quiet counterpoint to the general murmur of the quarter. Further on, I find myself on Hang Gai, where shops overflow with colorful silks, shimmering bolts of fabric, elegant ao-dyed dresses, embroidered scarves. I run my fingers over the smooth coolness of the silk, admiring the vibrant colors and intricate patterns. The shopkeepers smile gently, allowing me to browse without pressure. It's a sensory experience, the visual feast of color, the tactile pleasure of the fabric, the quiet rustle as bolts are unfurled. Turning down an even narrower lane, I discover a hidden courtyard, almost invisible from the main street. Inside, shielded from the immediate bustle, a sense of quiet prevails. Potted plants climb the walls, laundry hangs on lines strung between balconies, and perhaps an elderly resident sits quietly on a small stool, watching the world go by. These hidden spaces feel like the true soul of the old quarter, pockets of domestic calm tucked away behind the commercial facades. The architecture itself is endlessly fascinating. Buildings lean companionably against each other, their upper floors sometimes extending outwards. Weathered wooden shutters, intricate ironwork balconies, and faded paint tell stories of time and resilience. I find myself constantly looking up, noticing the details: a carved wooden beam, a cluster of colorful lanterns hanging from an eave, the surprising green of moss growing on an old tile roof. My camera comes out often, not for grand vistas, but to capture these small textural details. The sounds here are different from the lakeside, closer, more intimate. the chatter of neighbors, the chopping of ingredients from a street food stall preparing for the lunch rush, the whir of a sewing machine from an open doorway, the laughter of children playing in an alley. It's a tapestry of human activity woven closely together, yet without the frantic edge of many city centers. It feels organic, lived in, a community breathing within the ancient structure. Wandering without a specific destination, letting curiosity guide me, feels like the right way to experience the old quarter. It's not about ticking off landmarks, but about absorbing the atmosphere, noticing the easily overlooked moments of beauty and humanity. It's about finding the quiet whispers amidst the gentle hum. This slow exploration feels like peeling back layers, revealing the intricate, enduring heart of Hanoi, one quiet lane at a time. Chapter 6. Temple Garden Stillness, Temple of Literature. Stepping through the imposing main gate of Van Meo Quoc Tu Giam, the Temple of Literature feels like entering a different realm. The sounds of Hanoi's streets fade, replaced by a profound sense of peace. This ancient complex, Vietnam's first university, established in the 11th century, is dedicated to Confucius and scholars, and it radiates an atmosphere of quiet reverence and intellectual heritage. The layout itself encourages contemplation, leading visitors through a series of 5 courtyards, each separated by walls and gateways, each offering a progressively deeper sense of tranquility. The first 2 courtyards are simple grassy expanses shaded by enormous ancient trees. Their gnarled trunks and spreading branches speak of centuries patiently witnessed. Sunlight filters through the dense leaves, dappling the worn stone pathways. I walk slowly, consciously slowing my breath, letting the peaceful atmosphere seep in. The air feels cooler here, carrying a scent of old stone and green foliage. Birdsong provides a gentle, natural soundtrack. The third courtyard holds the well of heavenly clarity, a large square pond reflecting the sky and the surrounding pavilions. On either side stand the stelae of Doctor's 82 stone slabs mounted on the backs of intricately carved stone tortoises. Each stele records the names and achievements of scholars who passed the royal examinations centuries ago. I pause before them, running my fingers lightly over the cool, worn stone of a tortoise's back. There's a palpable sense of history here, a tribute to learning and perseverance, carved in stone. Moving through the Dai Tan Gate leads to the 4th courtyard, the ceremonial heart of the complex. Here, pavilions with gracefully curving roofs shelter altars dedicated to Confucius and his disciples. The architecture is stunning, rich reds and golds complementing the dark wood, intricate carvings depicting dragons and phoenixes. Incense smoke curls lazily upwards from large bronze urns, carrying silent prayers. I observe other visitors moving with quiet respect, their hushed tones preserving the sanctity of the space. I find a weathered stone bench in a quieter corner of one of the courtyards, partially hidden by flowering shrubs. Sitting here, I simply absorb the stillness. The meticulous design of the temple complex, the balance between architecture and nature, the palpable weight of history, it all combines to create a deeply calming effect. It's a place that encourages introspection, a quiet reflection on the pursuit of knowledge and the passage of time. My notebook remains closed. This experience feels better absorbed directly, without the filter of words just yet. The sounds are subtle, the whisper of wind through the leaves, the distant cooing of doves, the soft shuffle of footsteps on stone. Occasionally, a bell chimes softly, its clear note hanging briefly in the still air. It's a soundscape that deepens the sense of peace rather than intruding upon it. I watch a gardener carefully tending to a bonsai tree, his movements precise and meditative, another small act contributing to the overall harmony of the place. This temple isn't just a historical monument, it feels like a living sanctuary. Students still come here to pray for good luck before exams, leaving small offerings. It's a place where the past feels remarkably present, not as a ghost, but as a quiet, foundational energy. The emphasis on learning, on quiet contemplation, resonates deeply with my own approach to travel and observation. It feels like finding a kindred spirit in stone and wood. Lingering on the bench, I feel a sense of quiet gratitude for this haven of peace. It's a counterpoint to the vibrant energy of the old quarter, yet shares a similar sense of deep-rooted history. Leaving the temple of literature feels like carrying a piece of its stillness with me, a quiet resonance that softens the edges of the world outside its walls. The visit reinforces the feeling that Hanoi holds many layers of serenity, waiting to be discovered by those who move slowly enough to notice. Chapter 7. The Ritual of Egg. Coffee, curiosity, and a desire for a quiet pause leads me in search of a Hanoian specialty I've heard whispers about. Café Trung, egg coffee. I eschew the larger, more modern cafes, instead wandering down a side street in the old quarter until I spot a small, unassuming establishment mentioned in hushed tones by locals. The entrance is narrow, almost hidden, leading up a steep flight of stairs. It feels like discovering a secret, adding a layer of gentle anticipation to the experience. The cafe upstairs is small and cozy, filled with simple wooden tables and stools. Large windows, slightly fogged with condensation, look out over the bustling street below. But the sounds are pleasantly muted up here. Soft Vietnamese music plays at a low volume. The air smells richly of dark roast coffee, mingled with a subtle sweetness. A few other patrons are scattered around, nursing their drinks, reading, or chatting quietly. The atmosphere is relaxed, unhurried. I find a small table near a window and settle in. A smiling waitress approaches, and I simply point to the words Café Trung on the small handwritten menu. She nods knowingly and disappears towards a small counter at the back. I can't see the preparation from here, which allows me to simply sit and absorb the cafe's quiet ambiance, the gentle murmur of conversation, the clink of spoons against ceramic cups, the soft music. It all weaves together into a soothing backdrop. After a short wait, the coffee arrives. It's presented in a small cup, sitting in a bowl of warm water to maintain its temperature. The drink itself is visually intriguing. A thick, pale yellow, almost meringue-like layer sits atop the dark coffee below. The aroma is complex. Strong coffee notes intertwined with a sweet, custardy fragrance, almost like tiramisu. It looks less like a simple beverage and more like a carefully crafted dessert. I lift the small spoon provided and dip it into the creamy topping. It's incredibly light, airy, and sweet, but not cloyingly so. Then I stir it gently into the dark coffee beneath. The robust bitterness of Vietnamese coffee balances the richness of the egg cream perfectly. Taking a slow sip, the warmth spreads through me. The texture is unique. Velvety, smooth, rich, comforting. It's unlike any coffee I've ever tasted. I savor the drink slowly, taking small sips, allowing the flavors and textures to unfold. Looking out the window, I watch the ceaseless yet somehow graceful flow of motorbikes and pedestrians below. Seen from this slight elevation, the movement takes on an almost hypnotic quality. A street vendor pushes her cart laden with colorful fruits. A shopkeeper sweeps the pavement in front of his store, small everyday moments observed from a place of quiet comfort. This ritual feels quintessentially Hanoian, taking time out of the day for a unique, indulgent yet simple pleasure. The cafe itself is a small haven, a place to pause and recharge. The egg coffee is more than just a drink. It's an experience, a small culinary adventure that speaks of local ingenuity and tradition. It's comforting, surprising, and utterly delicious. Finishing the last sip feels like concluding a quiet, satisfying chapter in the day's exploration. Leaving the small cafe and descending the stairs back to the street level feels like emerging gently back into the city's flow. The warmth and unique taste of the Café Trung linger, a pleasant memory already forming. It was a simple stop, a quiet interlude, yet it felt significant, another subtle layer of Hanoi experienced, another quiet moment savored, perfectly in tune with the gentle rhythm of this journey. Chapter 8. Reflections on West Lake, Hote. Seeking a different perspective, a wider horizon, I make my way towards Hote West Lake. Significantly larger than Kiem Lake, it lies to the northwest of the Old Quarter, offering a sense of openness and expanse. The journey there, perhaps by a quiet taxi ride this time, reveals broader streets and a different style of architecture, hinting at more modern developments alongside older villas nestled in green gardens. The air itself seems to change, feeling fresher, carrying the scent of open water. Arriving at the shore, the sheer size of the lake is impressive. Its surface stretches out, vast and shimmering under the afternoon sun, merging with the hazy horizon. Unlike the contained intimacy of Kiem, West Lake feels expansive, offering long views across the water toward the distant city skyline, which appears softer, less immediate from this vantage point. The atmosphere is noticeably calmer here, the pace slower, with fewer tourists and more locals enjoying the waterside tranquility. I begin to walk along a section of the paved pathway that curves around the lake's edge. People are cycling slowly, strolling, or simply sitting on benches, gazing out at the water. The sounds are different too. The gentle lapping of small waves against the shore, the distant drone of a boat engine, the calls of water birds. It's a more natural soundscape, less intensely urban than the areas closer to the Old Quarter. My path leads me towards the Tranquil Pagoda, situated on a small peninsula or island connected by a short causeway. Reputedly the oldest pagoda in Hanoi, its striking tiered tower rises elegantly against the backdrop of the lake and sky. I cross the causeway, feeling the gentle breeze coming off the water. Inside the pagoda complex, the atmosphere is one of serene reverence, similar to the Temple of Literature, but with the added element of the surrounding water, enhancing the peace. Worshippers offer prayers amidst clouds of fragrant incense. Ancient-looking bonsai trees stand in ornate pots, meticulously cared for. The architecture, with its characteristic curved roofs and intricate details, glows warmly in the afternoon light. I find a spot near the water's edge within the pagoda grounds, looking back across the lake. The view is meditative, the gentle movement of the water, the distant shoreline, the vastness of the sky reflected on the surface. Sitting here, I reflect on the two lakes that seem to define Hanoi's character. Kiem, the heart, intimate and steeped in legend, surrounded by the vibrant pulse of the old quarter, and West Lake, the lungs, expansive and calming, offering breathing space and broader perspectives. Both offer serenity, but of a different quality. Kiem feels like discovering a hidden jewel, while West Lake feels like embracing a wide open calm. The light begins to soften as the afternoon progresses, painting the lake surface in shades of silver and gold. Fishermen in small boats cast their nets with practiced gestures. The distant city skyline begins to blur into silhouette. It's a peaceful, almost melancholic beauty. There's a sense of timelessness here, watching the slow rhythm of life unfold against the vast backdrop of water and sky. Reluctantly, I begin my walk back along the shore, feeling refreshed and calmed by the open space and the quiet beauty of West Lake. It has offered a different kind of serenity, a necessary counterpoint to the dense, historic charm of the old quarter. Visiting both lakes feels like understanding Hanoi more completely, appreciating the different ways it offers peace and reflection to those who seek it. The tranquility of Hanoi lingers, a quiet echo accompanying me as I head back towards the city's heart. Chapter 9. Twilight. Farewell to the lake. As dusk begins to settle over Hanoi, drawn by an undeniable pull, I find myself once again by the familiar shores of Kiem Lake. The intense heat of the day has subsided, replaced by a soft, balmy warmth. The transition from day to night here is gentle, almost seamless. Lights begin to twinkle around the lake streetlights, casting a soft glow. The illuminated red of the Huck Bridge, the distant lights of buildings reflecting like scattered jewels on the darkening water. The atmosphere around the lake shifts in the evening. The morning's focus on exercise and quiet contemplation gives way to a gentle social buzz. Families stroll leisurely, couples sit close together on benches, vendors sell snacks and colorful toys. Yet, the overwhelming feeling remains one of peace. Laughter drifts on the air, conversations murmur softly, but the serene presence of the lake seems to temper the sounds, weaving them into a calm evening tapestry. I walk the perimeter slowly one last time, savoring the sights and sounds. The Turtle Tower is now a dark silhouette against the deep indigo sky, its form mysterious and evocative. The Ngok Sun Temple on its island glows softly, emanating a quiet spirituality. The reflections on the water are deeper now, more pronounced, creating a mirror world shimmering below. It feels like the lake is holding onto the last vestiges of daylight while simultaneously embracing the night. My thoughts drift back over the past few days, the vibrant green of the countryside seen from The Wanderer, the initial sensory immersion upon arriving at the station, the quiet comfort of my room overlooking the lane, the intricate discoveries in the old quarter, the stillness of the Temple of Literature, the unique taste of egg coffee, the expansive calm of West Lake, and always circling back to here, to Kiem, the serene heart of it all. Hanoi has unfolded gently, revealing its beauty not through grand pronouncements, but through quiet details and subtle rhythms. Sitting on a bench near the water's edge, I watch the lights dance on the surface. There's a feeling of contentment, of having connected with the city in a quiet, meaningful way. It wasn't about rushing to see everything, but about allowing the atmosphere to permeate, about finding moments of stillness amidst the gentle flow. The city's blend of ancient tradition, quiet resilience, and natural beauty embodied by its lakes has left a deep impression. Later, back in my room, the sounds from the lane below are softer now, more subdued. I begin the familiar meditative process of packing my leather satchel. Each item, the notebook filled with observations, the camera holding captured moments of light and texture, the clothes carrying the faint scent of Hanoi's air, feels like a tangible piece of the experience. Packing is not just a practical task. It's a quiet ritual of gathering memories, preparing for the next stage of the journey while honoring the place being left behind. I step onto the small balcony one last time, leaning on the railing and looking down at the dimly lit lane. The air is still warm, carrying the faint scent of night flowers. A lone motorbike hums past. A window glows softly across the way. There's a slight melancholy in departure, as always, but it's tempered by gratitude for the peace and subtle beauty I found here. Hanoi's serenity, especially the quiet magic of its lakes, feels like something I will carry within me. Closing the balcony doors, I glance around the simple room that has been my haven. It feels peaceful, ready for the next traveler. My own journey continues tomorrow, back to the familiar embrace of the wanderer, but the quiet echo of Hanoi, the gentle pulse of life around its lakes, will remain a soothing presence in my memory. Chapter 10. Echoes on the Rails. The familiar gentle rumble of the wanderer vibrates subtly through the floorboards, a comforting sensation as we pull slowly away from Hanoi. Through the large window, the lights of Hanoi flicker, becoming smaller, softer, gradually receding into the pre-dawn darkness. Platform lights glide past, illuminating fleeting glimpses of the station dissolving behind us. The transition from the stillness of the city to the motion of the train is seamless, a return to the rhythm that defines my travels. I settle back into my favorite armchair, the worn leather cool against my skin. The carriage is filled with a soft, warm light from the shaded lamps, creating a cocoon of tranquility against the dark landscape outside. The rhythmic clickety-clack of the wheels on the track begins its steady song, a sound intrinsically linked with reflection and the quiet passage of time. It's the sound of journeying, both outwards and inwards. My notebook lies open on the small table beside me, pages filled with observations, sketches, and impressions of Hanoi. I pick it up, leafing through the entries, a quick sketch of the Huck Bridge at dawn, notes on the texture of silk in the old quarter, a description of the taste of egg coffee, thoughts penned while sitting in the quiet gardens of the Temple of Literature. Each note, each line, evokes a sensory memory, bringing the quiet essence of the city back into focus within the gentle sway of the train. Outside, the darkness begins to yield, revealing the silhouettes of the Vietnamese countryside rushing past. Rice paddies, shrouded in morning mist, emerge like ghosts from the night. The landscape looks different now, viewed through the lens of departure, imbued with the memories of the city left behind. The journey continues, but the destination lingers, carried within. Hanoi's gentle spirit, its resilience, its pockets of profound peace, especially the serenity found by its lakes, feels like a quiet resonance added to my inner collection of places. The train gathers speed, settling into its long-distance rhythm. The familiar scents of wood and leather in my carriage provide a comforting anchor, It feels good to be back in this moving home, this sanctuary that carries me across the world. Yet, a part of me remains by the shores of Kiem Lake, watching the light change on the water. Travel, for me, is never about completely leaving a place behind, but about carrying its essence forward, allowing it to subtly shape the way I see what comes next. I close my notebook and simply watch the landscape unfold. The rising sun paints the sky in soft pastels, reflected in the watery fields. Life begins to stir, farmers guiding their buffalo, smoke rising from distant houses. It's the same landscape I traveled through on arrival, yet it feels different now, richer, viewed with the quiet understanding gained during my stay. The serenity wasn't just in the lakes or temples. It was woven into the fabric of daily life, into the gentle interactions and the steady pace. There's a feeling of deep gratitude for the experiences, for the quiet moments of connection and observation. Hanoi didn't overwhelm, it invited gently. It offered its beauty without demanding attention, rewarding slow looking and quiet appreciation. The Lake Serenity wasn't just a title. It was the feelings the city imparted, a gentle calmness that settled deep within. As the wanderer journeys onward, carrying me towards the unknown horizon, I feel a sense of quiet peace. The rhythmic motion of the train, the unfolding landscape, the lingering echoes of Hanoi, they all blend into a soothing composition. The journey itself is the destination, and each quiet experience, like the serene moments by Hanoi's lakes, adds another layer of richness to the ongoing voyage.